Thank you, Roger, for doing this. This is a world that I used to live in for a little bit, and there's several questions that have to be answered that's not. And they're really simple, right? Who is AIC, the agent in charge? What SOPs are they using? Standing operating procedures. Who set the perimeters up? Where were the perimeters? What was the initial plan? Was the initial plan detailed out? Did they walk it? How many meetings did they have with local law enforcement? Who was in charge of those meetings? Did the Secret Service attend the 9 o'clock briefing? If the Secret Service didn't attend the 9 o'clock briefing, the question would be why? Because the Secret Service is leading the entire perimeter and leading the whole detail for the purpose of protecting President Trump. If you can't answer those simple questions, then what are you hiding? Right? Most of the time you start with 3 perimeters. The first perimeter would be always protected by local law enforcement. It always is. You use in local law enforcement, it's the softer perimeter. It's the perimeter that's protecting all the buildings, making sure there's no high point advantages, that everything is clearly being looked at within that first perimeter. They're watching the people coming in. They're paying attention to the individuals, the crowds, which way the crowds are moving, who may be an agitator in the crowd. The second perimeter is a little bit harder of a perimeter. It's where you get your bags checked, right? It's where you make sure you have a clear bag. It's where you go through your metal detectors. It's where you're presenting your credentials that you're able to be there. That's going to be local law enforcement. It'll be some uniformed individuals. It'll also be your bigger SWAT team. The inner one, which is called the diamond, they had 3 jobs: to protect the principal from harassment, embarrassment, and death. Harassment, embarrassment, and death. Out of every single detail you run, you always do a debrief. You break it down. What went right? What went wrong? How do we improve? All we're asking is the Secret Service to give us the briefing. What did they break down? What's the simple issues that they dealt with? Where was the failure points? Because if you cannot admit you did something wrong, you're destined to do it again. As Senator Blackburn laid out, there's 31 individuals that's every single day they're depending on the Secret Service to do their jobs. That means there's 31 individuals that have families that's depending on the Secret Service to do their job. They should do their job. We want them to do their job. I spoke with President Trump the day after the assassination attempt. And I'll tell you, the first thing he did is he praised the Secret Service, the ones that were in his diamond, for doing the job. He praised them for jumping in and protecting him. His words was, didn't they do a great job? Yeah, they did do a great job protecting him. They did a horrible job with the perimeter and protecting everybody else that was there. I'm not against the Secret Service. But people need to be held accountable, not just Kimberly, the former director, other people there that was in charge of the site. They need to be held accountable also. And I think that's what Congress is trying to get to. We want to prevent this from ever happening again. We want to help them, but they're not being transparent with us. If they're not, then we'll have to go around them if they're not going to work with us. Thank you, Roger.